I'm meteorologist Katie Nicolau, and you're listening to the Coffee and Geography podcast. Grab yourself a brew and enjoy the listen.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Coffee and Geography podcast. And as you may have guessed, this is yet another on-location special episode for this season of the Coffee and Geography podcast. And I am very privileged to be at the Royal Norfolk Show. It's quite overwhelming, to be honest. I've had a little bit of a wander around already. There is lots going on. But the place that I'm situated in is called the STEMM Village. And STEM, in this case, stands for science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and medicine. And the STEMM Village is a collection of people, organisations across Norwich, across the region, across Norfolk, but many of them are international organisations as well. And we have so many different people with so many different expertise. But the key thing about the Royal Norfolk Show is that, as per tradition, as with shows across the country, is that they are primarily an agricultural show, showcasing the fact that we are effectively a farming community and a farming country. So the STEMM Village is led and organised by the wonderful folks at the STEMM STEMM Award. And if that name rings a bell, it's because there was a previous Coffee and Geography podcast episode with the wonderful Foxes, Sam Fox and Simon Fox. So what I strongly recommend you do is that you go and check out that conversation where we talk about the Youth STEM Award and what it means and how it is trying to invigorate aspirations and awareness and enjoyment in STEM and STEM careers and issues. So we are here on behalf of the Climate Ambassador Scheme, but we're also here with our sister projects, Let's Go Zero and National Education Nature Park. Today, Wednesday the 25th, and tomorrow, Thursday the 26th of June. And we are talking to the visitors here, who they are school groups coming around. They are members of the public, they are parents, home-educated youngsters, and we are trying to connect their experiences of the exhibits here at the STEMM Village to how it can translate to climate action in schools. What this episode is going to do, though, because there's been a lot of that already this season of the podcast, is that this episode is mostly going to focus on what people are doing here at the Royal Norfolk Show, how they're engaging through STEM and the STEMM Village, and what it means for public education, climate education, in terms of potential awareness in the not just the farming community, but the general community as well. It's a fantastic thing. Really enjoyed the conversations that I've been having. If you're listening on the podcast, what I really strongly suggest you do is please save yourself some time to watch it visually on YouTube, because there's an extra layer that you just will not get when you listen to the podcast. So you sit back, enjoy, and I'll be picking up some wonderful conversations with fellow exhibitors here at the Royal Norfolk Show. I'm here with Tim from the Norfolk Rivers Trust. Tim, is this your first time at the Royal Norfolk Show?
No, it's the second time I've been to the Norfolk Show.
What do you think of it? It's quite intense sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, it's big. It's got lots of different things for lots of different people. So it's great to see the farming and the cultural heritage and the organisations like Norfolk County Council and the charities. So it's probably got something for everyone.
Now, question for you. For listeners of this podcast, the Geography podcast, they could probably make the link between rivers, agriculture, that kind of stuff. A lot of people listening, though, have no idea, and they're thinking, what is the Norfolk Rivers Trust doing at what is effectively an agricultural show?
That is a really good question. So Norfolk has a huge number of rivers that often people don't know they're there. They're invisible because they've been modified over time. So often it might be a river that's been turned into a ditch, particularly up in the headwaters of those rivers. And we've got catchments. So where rivers flow, the land influences what's going on with that river. So could be there's a farm at the wider reaches of the catchment where they're losing topsoil, and that topsoil is flooding and flowing downhill along country lanes into ditches, and those ditches then link to rivers. And that sand and soil will then essentially change the habitat of that river. So gravel get covered in sand and soil, which means that ground trout, the eggs that they lay will be suffocated. It means that the diverse habitats you have for the river will be less diverse. It will be sediment. So working with farmers to find funding to support them to farm in a more river-friendly way. And it also acknowledge the challenges that they've got to be farming for food, they've got to be farming to make money. But there are lots of farms out there that want to farm in a nature-friendly way as well. So doing farming for food. The other aspect of our work is to build the resilience because of climate change. So Norfolk is a dry county, commonly known as dry.
One of the driest places in the country, yes, absolutely.
Yet we've had massive amounts of rainfall in short periods of time, and that shocked the landscape, which has meant that farms have lost topsoil. It's meant the rivers have been impacted. We'd irrigate potatoes in the summer. If there's no water in the aquifers, there's no water to abstract to irrigate. So our main kind of mission is to enhance and protect wetlands and rivers for the benefits of people and wildlife, and people means food.
Yeah. And before we move on to the education element, because see that you've got some young people interacting with your exhibit here, what might be interesting, because we do have listeners from across the world as well, is that Norfolk is a very unique environment in terms of one of the few places in the world that actually has chalk rivers.
Oh, yes.
So I just wanted to touch on that for a little bit, because it's such an important environment and such a unique one that is so, in the grand scheme of things, in terms of percentage of types of rivers around the world, such a minuscule amount.
Yeah.
And we've got quite a few of them in Norfolk.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, tell us a little bit more, particularly about these chalk rivers for folks who may not be aware of the international significance of some of these Norfolk rivers.
So globally there are about 220 chalk rivers.
Just that
amount.
Wow. Wow.
And we've got in Norfolk around 20-ish.
So
chalk trees.
10% of the roads.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
That is incredible. And what the chalk. So the reason for that is, and some people may know this, but we have a chalk ridge running from effectively Hampshire all the way out. It comes to Pedder's Way in Norfolk and ends in Hull. But that bedrock influences so the water takes years and years and years to be pressured up through that chalk bedrock, and the minerals that that chalk gives the water is very special. So it makes a very interesting, unique plant community and fauna as well. So the animals that live in that extremely quite unique and very special.
It's incredible. I've to segue onto the educational part of things. One of the best field trips I think I ran. It was it started off in a giant thunderstorm, so we went to Thetford Forest. So I taught in a school just outside of Norwich. So the GCSE youngsters decided they wanted to go to Thetford Forest, and they wanted to look at how land management, because Thetford Forest is man-made, it's a plantation, and the influence that has had on the chalk rivers.
Yeah,
which was fantastic. We got there at the place at Santon Downham.
Oh yeah,
thunder and lightning. We almost cancelled the trip. We stuck with it, but we did eventually go to the chalk rivers there. And it was an absolute delight, and they'd be doing the kick sampling and the Secchi disc flopping out in the sea, all that kind of stuff. In fact, the fact that it had just bucketed down actually was great for their data collection.
Yes.
So taking them to that environment was so good, and it was literally only comparatively up the road for us.
Yeah.
So why, therefore, do you think education is important? What are you trying to do here at the Royal Norfolk Show? Because this isn't just about communicating about farming, what you just said. You're quite clearly directing things towards the youngsters as well.
Absolutely. Well, if they don't know what they've got in Norfolk or in the world, then how are they going to help in the future? So, as I said earlier on, often rivers are invisible to people because they have been heavily modified and they're not seen as quintessential meandering river. But actually, those
the Bradshaw model,
exactly,
which doesn't really fit
most rivers. No. But it's that natural sequence of dynamics that happens in the river that's not been played around with by humans. But what we do in our houses has an influence on what happens to our rivers, because what goes down the drain will ultimately end up on a sewage treatment recycling centre. So the fact that dishwasher tablets have phosphates in, the fact that some toothpaste do, the fact that we have we're washing our cars, and all of that water usage going back to water being a precious resource. We need to conserve our resource so that we're more robust in terms of climate change in the future. So we're hoping to help people understand the importance of water. It's precious. It's a cliche, but it's precious. So we need to manage it well. And that means re-wiggling rivers and slowing the flow, recharging aquifers and catchment. The North Sea doesn't need any more water.
Yeah.
And so we are ready for those. Even about the last 5 years, we've had 2 droughts and a lot of rain as well. So and they were saying these are going to be 1 in 50-year events. And they're seeing quite,
So when I always say those, I always say 1 in 50 years, because they're quite clearly not 1 in 50-year events anymore.
No.
Yeah.
And it affects communities. So what a farm does, who's managing water on its land, they affect the community. So what someone does with their water, I mean, we all need to work together.
It does.
So,
Well, you know what? That's a great analogy to end on. If you think of a drainage basin, a river system, you could take one river in isolation. You could even just take the groundwater in isolation, that forest where the groundwater, and but actually, it's all one great big interconnection. And one of the things I always do with I used to introduce the topic of rivers to the year 7s. I used to show them a satellite image, strip out as much as I could. What is this? And they all say, oh, that's a tree. Yeah, it's that's a river. That's a drainage based river. That's not a tree. And if we can treat rivers like trees in terms of an entire system, because trees are visible, as you said.
Yeah.
So, but not necessarily rivers. Tim, this has been a fantastic short discussion. Thank you so much for giving up your time.
Pleasure.
And I'll let you get back to educating the members of the public and children.
Thanks.
Thanks very much.
Take care.
Really excited to talk about this. Henry Walker. So, Norfolk Farmers and Wildlife Advisory Group. That's what Norfolk FWAG stands for, folks. And you can't quite see me because I've got this print, and I'm getting slightly told off by everybody here that this is not a fish tank, because what is this demonstrating for us?
This is a miniature world of the pond. The pond which is on the other side of the showground. And my colleagues here, Abby and Evan, they were out there this morning with their nets, and with a couple of scoops, they managed to catch all of these little critters that are
That's amazing.
dancing around in this wonderful little fish tank. It is a fish tank, and it has fish in it. And it's, who needs neon tetras when you've got sticklebacks? They're gorgeous. They're constantly active. They're tuned in, and amazing little fish. I never knew there were so many in that pond. I really didn't.
So this is just two scoops.
I reckon.
2 scoops. I'm getting confirmation there from Abigail, who's just there.
So they like try and empty out.
Of
They
course.
too much. They took as many fish back as they could. So
That's amazing. I love
remarkable just how much life there is in those little ponds.
Yeah, brilliant. So, why the Royal Norfolk Show? Why? I mean, obviously, the clue is in the title of your organisation, of course. But why water? Why ponds? What is the purpose of you being here for these 2 days?
Okay, well, ponds are a fantastic habitat which we've inherited from generations of land managers, farmers, and everybody else. They're like a post-industrial landscape. They might be clay pits, they might be marl pits, they might be dug for watering holes, they might be dug to build your house. They're accidental, and yet they support so much life. They've become an absolute, lifeline for biodiversity in a farmed landscape. And 70 plus, maybe 75% in Norfolk of our land area is farmland, and within that, these are little oases. They not only provide water, but there's also all of the insect life that you use up from them. There's all the aquatic vegetation. They're just incredible stepping stones across the farmed landscape, which holds so much wildlife. It's phenomenal.
I love the use of the word oases, because a pond in an area, you could So it's literally an oasis. But when people think of an oasis, they think of that classic desert landscape,
trees,
palm trees.
but some people
like that.
liken the arable landscape as a desert, don't they?
Right. You've stolen my next bit about that. This is the kind of thing we're kind of demonstrating here is just like, it is a very monotonous.
Because they're monoculture.
Yeah, monoculture.
A
Yeah.
field of winter wheat or barley. Yes, it's feeding people, and it's brilliant and remarkable how efficient agriculture's become. But it is one species occupying hectares of land, uniform in its stand and its growth, and it's all planted at the same time, harvested at the same time. That is the some kind of dragonfly larvae.
Yep, right. I thought it might be.
Stuff.
Oh, this is huge.
I wonder if it's a Norfolk dragonfly. That would be really cool. A Norfolk hawker. It's got slightly green eyes. If you get in close, they look slightly pale and coloured.
Yeah.
And the Norfolk hawker's really distinctive in that it has big green eyes. A brown body, got big green eyes.
How an educated guess, how many different species, both flora and fauna, do you think is that in that one tank alone?
Okay. Oh, goodness. There's probably like 30 species. Yeah, I reckon we might get up to 30.
30.
With a couple of scoops of a fishing net.
So you're
It's not a big net. It's not like we're trawling.
Oh, that's a kick sampling net, effectively, isn't it?
Yeah.
You do kick sampling on those with kids, and so the word oasis then is an absolute apt description for this, because you've got your monocultures, you say your
Winter wheat.
whatever it is, and then you've got these ponds, and in just quarter of a cubic meter of water, you've got 30 species.
Isn't that mind-boggling?
It's incredible. It really is incredible. It just goes to show why we need to look after this kind of thing.
The pond landscape, yeah, and like they were, like I said, they're post-industrial landscapes. So a lot of them were dug in the medieval period,
Right.
and later, and then like they came into, I don't know, they can come into neglect, especially when we're focused on arable outputs.
Yeah.
The drivers for maximizing your yields and trying to grow as much wheat as you can. So these get left alone. In the past, they might have been managed more actively when we had to water, plough teams of horses or oxen. Then they would have been cropped open because, no horse is going to keep working all day if it can't drink. And that's what we used to use to plough our fields. But now we're on tractors, and don't fill up your tractor from the pond. So, they fall into neglect. They become completely kind of terrestrialized. The willows start to encroach. They suck out so much water. They drop all their leaf litter, and over 60 years, suddenly there's never water left.
I remember this succession.
Yeah, it is succession.
Yeah, succession. That's what that is.
That's what happens to ponds, and what we can do by restoring them is essentially CPR to a pond. It's like brings them back to life. You take out the willows, you take out most of the silt, but not all of it, because it can contain amazing creepy crawlies.
Yeah.
We don't have an age of. And also the seed bank, which is contained in the silt, is phenomenal and very long-lived. We've found species that have come back from restoring ponds that haven't been recorded in East Anglia for over 100 years.
Incredible.
And they're buried. They might have been buried for that time. And it's a little time capsule. Add water, give it the right conditions, and they spring to life.
I was very fortunate yesterday, Henry, to visit a local school in Thetford, Drake Primary. I've sung their praise a lot because they are one of our staff schools. They had started nowhere in September of this academic year. So this academic year, and
Nowhere Lane,
all that kind of stuff. But what they've done in the interim is that they already had some things on the go, but they've really, really used climate action plans to really focus their efforts. And now they've rejuvenated the school ponds. They've got a lovely wetland area. They've even got a drainage kind of channel. So say if there's excess water, if we get flash flood, if we get extreme weather or something like that, that pond will actually service as some sustainable drainage and it could feed into the pond. It's very well landscaped. And I'm just thinking that I'm talking to so many schools now where they had a pond and exactly what you described has happened. It's gone in disrepair. My youngest, who's in year 3, was told by my eldest in year 6, we have a small pond. And my year 3 went, what? Where? Exactly. Right? Yeah. And in fact, Theo, my eldest, has suggested as part of the student voice part of the climate action plan, suggested to the school, why don't we rejuvenate our school ponds?
Yeah.
And look at that. That's
Absolutely going on in there.
Yeah.
Instead of just willow scrub.
Yeah.
I mean, willows are great and they are locking up carbon. So it's you're having to weigh up, your pros and cons. And I think in terms of what you're gaining in terms of biodiversity, it's just absolutely phenomenal. Ooh. You can hear some weird noises in the background, Kit.
Is that your
little boombox?
Let's bring that closer to the microphone. There you go.
And all these are recorded sounds by acoustic ecologists who have been putting hydrophones in ponds to hear what on earth is going on. And these are recordings from under the water.
Is that lovely?
Well, there's so much going on underwater. We wouldn't have Adam and Eve did.
Oh, there you go. That's back to my roots. That is my dad's copy. So we worked with a local group called CERN, and they're a local company based in Acorn. They do hydrophonic.
Oh, cool.
And they had actually the balls coming like this, and Tom Gill came over with his hydrophone, dumped it in there with his laptop, and they were able to hear all the invertebrates.
No way.
It was so good.
Never knew. Grasshoppers, but you never put your ear under a pond.
Yeah.
It's just so much going on there. Well, stridulating water boatmen. Who'd have thought it?
Oh, nice. I could talk to you all day. But fortunately, you've got some people to entertain and educate, and I've got some other people to speak to. But Henry, I've really, really enjoyed this chat. It's been absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for sparing your time.
No worries, kid. Pleasure to meet you.
So, absolutely lovely to meet you. I've seen some wonderful things what you're doing with the youngsters here. Yeah, please introduce us and where you're from.
Hi, I'm Dr. Joanna Tippett. I'm from the University of Manchester and I'm co-founder of the Roundview. The Roundview is a toolkit for sustainability and thinking and learning that takes a holistic view and basically helps us understand the 3 root causes of all environmental problems, so we can do the positive opposites and stop causing those problems in the first place. And we're here in the STEMM Village working with Siemens Energy to really help build the skills and the understandings of every age group about what we need to do to move towards sustainability. So we're using this as an opportunity to build knowledge and skills and see how we can think into the future. So, for instance, when you're thinking about wind energy, we need to think about the materials as well as saving fossil fuels. We need to think about the materials and the recycling of turbines. If they all end up in landfill, we're still creating the problem. When we think about where we site them, can we site them in a way that does less damage to birds? Can we create one of the blades black and make it so that the birds can see them? So we want to always be thinking holistically, and we want to be thinking about this from the beginning, so we don't keep creating unintended consequences.
And that's really, really vitally important, because one of the things that I find in my work with is that we are very, well, the whole world in general, but especially Western society, is very climate illiterate. And so it's either a black and white, or it's either a silver bullet solution, or something's going to come along, or it's the system that will fix it, the market will fix it. And it is such a climate illiterate way of thinking, because every major solution that's been proposed so far has been basically working within the system and trying to take, but actually what we really need is a complete rethink, because what we have today and what you've been doing with these youngsters talking about geological history, and that only needs the last couple of seconds of basically to midnight at the end of the year, basically, which is a brilliant analogy. I love that analogy. Is that, well, one of the biggest reasons why we're in this problem is because our system's way of thinking and the way that we've set up human society is based on a disconnection with nature. And so just more disconnection with nature It doesn't matter if you're building wind turbines and stuff. If you're not taking a nature-based view when you're doing renewable energy, you're just going to cause a new system that's going to have new problems.
Exactly. And that's what we're trying to build is almost the literacy in how to think into systems, so that we also see that this works at every level of scale. It's the small actions we take help us move towards, definitely help us move in the right direction. But equally, we need to rethink the entire system to think, how can we fit into this system? So we've got a system of cycles driven by sunlight in which nothing but heat leaves. Stuff goes around in balance. We're part of the system. All we need to do is redesign our system so that we don't cause these problems in the first place. But we do have to think holistically to do that.
Hero of puzzles. I love it. And so for example, as we were watching those youngsters do this, so yes, the problems that we've caused. So for example, here, we've paved over our green spaces, and there's lots of houses just recently in my cul-de-sac have just got rid of their front doors for driveways, right? And we have a problem with, when we get excessive rainfall, we have a problem with surface water flooding in our cul-de-sac, right? But then if you flick this over, and actually you're kind of working within that system, but you're flipping it, and you literally are flipping it, with these things. And it's beautiful. So unpave your gardens, neighbourhoods and cities, and start putting that nature back, sustainable drainage and all that kind of stuff. And then our cul-de-sac wouldn't keep flooding.
Well, indeed, yes. And I think this is part of it. It is deeply personal.
It is.
It is absolutely about where we live and how we live, and it's a system. It isn't an either or, it's both. And what we want is we're basically trying to create is turn the Roundview into the fourth R. Reading, writing, arithmetic, and the Roundview. So everybody on the
I love that.
Understands the three root causes of all environmental problems and who are crucially their positive opposites. So we're really looking at how do we work for primary to policymaker, how do we work for cleaner to CEO. Everybody needs to understand this.
Yeah, and that's why I really love the job that I do as the Climate Ambassador Scheme. It's one of the few things that the Department for Education has actually done really well was that strategy, which they did in consultation with young people. One of the best things to come out of COP26, and it is all about taking the round view. Was it the head teacher? No. Are you going to silo it into a geography teacher, which is what some schools are doing? No. Who's got to be involved? Your site team, your business manager, your catering staff, your students need to be part of the process. And that is why I love this job, Joe, because I'm speaking to all sorts of schools. And our climate ambassadors are getting involved and doing wonderful work like you are, and taking that into schools and doing that round view.
Well, what we're really keen to do is get these toolkits in every school, every library, young people. We've already got young people taking this and using them and teaching other people.
Thank you so much for your time. And make sure you get a good night's sleep tonight, because you've been off your feet by the looks of it.
It's been really busy, but so amazing. I brought 300 word searches. We're nearly out. I mean, we are really reaching a lot of people.
Oh.
It's really exciting.
It's lovely. Thank you very much, Joe.
Thank you. All right.
So I'm Hannah Colledge. I'm the HR and Wellbeing Coordinator at Saxon Air.
At Saxon Air. Now, Saxon Air, an airline. To me, it's not surprising that there'd be someone with your title and your position at an airline, but I think it kind of makes total sense. So, from your expertise and your position, then, what are you doing here at this exhibit, the Royal Norfolk Show? What are you trying to demonstrate to folks here? Because there's a lot of connections which people don't realise between very specialist airlines like yourself and what's taking place here with the Royal Norfolk Show.
Yeah, so we've recently actually written an entire outreach programme that covers anyone from the age 5 up to 101. So it's called the Inspire programme, and it's all about inspiring people to think about aviation as a possible career, and that aviation is more than just pilots. So we cover all sorts of roles. So I look after HR, wellbeing and outreach. We've got finance, we've got corporate communications, but we've also got all of the operational roles. So here at the Norfolk Show, what we're doing is just showcasing that. We've got a tablecloth that looks like our hangar. that it shows very clearly all the different departments. What the kids have to do is try and emulate our passenger journey. So they take our passengers and pick them up from our VIP room, and then they take them to our charter sales office, who look after them and give them a little gift basket of local produce, and then they go into handling, who take care of their bags and their passports, and then they get themselves on the plane. We've also got a couple of flight simulators with us. So these simulators are used by trainee pilots, essentially to make sure they can practice situations that you wouldn't want to do in the air, so bird strike or engine failure or tricky landings, but they also practice dexterity, and the controls are really sensitive, so it gives the kids an actually to be honest, an understanding of actually how difficult it can be to control. And it's really fun. We have a landing challenge, so you can kind of compete with yourself or others.
So you got a Top Gun Maverick challenge as well.
You can choose your aircraft, so I think people always go for like the really fancy ones, but they're actually really difficult. There's a reason they're only used by certain people.
They find out they can't control them, yeah.
Yeah, so
you literally have to be Tom Cruise or better.
Absolutely. But we're also here showcasing our commitment to sustainability. So we've got 80,000 bees at Saxon Air, and they thrive. They love it. Bees love clean air, and that's why they thrive with us. But we also have an electric plane, so you can learn to fly an electric plane, which actually reduces the cost of learning to fly. Yeah, you can see it here on our lovely tablecloth. We've also just built a very specialised charging port for it. So a bit like you plug in your phone, we plug in our plane. We've got over 700 solar panels at Saxon Air, kind of powering everything. So we really are committed to that next step in terms of keeping things.
And you're located on the site of Norwich National, is that right? Or just adjacent
to the airport. Yeah. So we have our own apron, we have our own hangar. This bit's called an apron. So this is why we're here, and we just want people to engage and have fun and think about aviation as a career.
Yeah. And because the theme of the podcast is all about the environment and sustainability, geography, all that kind of stuff, you were talking to me yesterday with regards to you do a lot of shuttle runs in your helicopters too, and I think it was really interesting what you told me yesterday about all sorts. Of course, we've got the North Sea oil and that kind of stuff, but you're doing a lot of work for the renewable energy companies, particularly with decommissioning and helping with the wind turbines and offshore wind and everything.
Yeah, so we do about 35,000 passenger movements in our offshore helicopters a year.
35, that's incredible.
It's a lot. It's a lot of passengers going to and from, and so most of them are going out to the rigs, but a lot of that rig work will be decommissioning, and so that's a kind of private contract we have with them. So yeah, anything we can do to help people get to work, it just happens to be on a helicopter rather than a bus.
That's amazing.
Technology is advancing. All technology is advancing. We already have a lot of research and information and energy going into drones and what
drones on there. Yeah.
Drone ports. We've got something called Aviation East, which launched a few weeks ago, which is all about kind of how we use drones in a more mainstream way.
Yeah.
And we are, as a company, committed to be net zero, and we do offset all of our emissions. So for us, yes, we're an aviation company. Yes, we're important in terms of logistics and getting people where they need to be. But we're also committed to doing it differently and embracing the future and embracing new technology.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for talking to me. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if Saxon Air was one of the first ones to have personalised drones where they're the size that they're big enough to take individual people, like a taxi.
Watch this space.
Watch this space. You never know. You never know.
This space.
Oh, thank you very much for talking
You're
to me.
so welcome.
We're going to be soil detectors. So we've got soil, rocks and sand. So we're going to get a little bit of water. We're going to pour some into this one. Pour a little bit in. Perfect. And a little bit into this one. Yeah, and some more into this one. So what do you notice? These two are draining out quite quickly. So look at, these two have got a big stream of water. But this one is holding that water that you poured in. So the water that you're pouring in is just like rain. So when the rain rains on the crops, this soil is holding all that water and holding all that nutrients. So imagine there's a little mustard seed in there, and it had to grow. What do plants need? They need water. and nutrients out. So if it all just drains out, it's not going to grow. So the soil would be the best option for farmers, and that's why they use soil. Do you want to feel the different things in soil? So like feel it? This is like sand. Do you want to feel it as well? This is sand. Do you think that would be good for farming? No. About rocks? Do you think that would be good for growing cotton? No. But what about soil? And all those bugs love living in that, so all the plants get all that nutrients, yeah?
So here in the STEM Village, I mean the STEM marquee, we have students exhibiting as well, and we've got this guy here from Thorpe St Andrew High School who has a climate action plan, which is amazing. So what are your students up to? I mean, we just saw them do a demonstration. They were incredible.
Yeah, no, so they've been working on their little projects so that they can come and exhibit it here at the STEMM Award stand. Our school's been doing STEMM Award for about 2, maybe 3 years now with them. And lots of the students here that we brought today are part of that awards. And it's really helping them to sort of broaden their horizons a little bit to do with STEM. Lots of them have been interested in science or just maths.
Yes.
But this really encourages them to look at STEM in the whole context, all of it.
The knowledge that they displayed was fantastic. It really, really was. And yeah, so you must be very proud of them.
Super proud.
We got 2 over there. They're all being shy at the moment, but that's nice. But yeah. Oh.
Later on in the day, I'm sure they'll be helpful.
We're thanks for encouraging this and nurturing this, because we talked to Sam and Simon Fox on the podcast before. And it's just so lovely to see the outcomes of the STEM Award right here at the Royal Norfolk Show. So thank you.
No, that's fine. And they've been really good. They're really supportive. They're really helpful with all of the ideas as well, and really supported to get behind everything. So it's really is.
Yep. Thank you.
Sam, hello.
Hello.
Oh, this is brilliant. So, folks, regular Coffee and Geography podcast listeners, Sam and Simon were my first ever couples episode, and it was so much fun.
Yeah, it was.
And now here you are in the flesh. And I've wanted to bag a quick chat with you. You're looking absolutely glamorous. Because this is your baby in a way.
It is.
The STEM Village.
I know.
How are you feeling?
I'm really happy, and we're like halfway through day 2 of the Royal Norfolk Show, and this is such an important event in the calendar of Norfolk, and actually it's so exciting. So many months of effort and planning have gone into this, not just from me, but this whole team and all the exhibitors, people like yourself keep coming along, really just to showcase what they're doing and interact with young people, raise their aspirations and inspire the next generation into STEM.
And I had, we've got some of your youth STEM Awards youngsters doing their like public engagement stuff from Thorpe St Andrew High School. That's really, really good. Must make you feel proud, that kind of stuff, when you see that.
Yes, it really does. And this kind of event, this is really unique. And we've got the opportunity here. You know, I'm sitting here looking at groups of primary school children coming in and interacting with the stands, and that's absolutely wonderful. And they're coming away and taking something from it. But they can also see slightly older children working on some of the stands, volunteering, and actually learning those science communication skills. Public engagement is so important in life, whatever they go into. Helping out on various stands and being show ambassadors. So it's a great opportunity, and it's wonderful to see the change that comes over them through the day.
Yeah.
Their experience.
So I know you're very busy, but this is one last thing. The awards. Tell us about that. So yesterday we had some judges come around the whole of the showgrounds.
Yes.
And they came to the STEM Village, and then what happens?
Well, it was incredible, and they judged us second place. Like it's called Reserve, but it's like runner-up. We've got a beautiful blue and gold sort of plaque. It's almost like I felt like I was Chelsea Flower Show with silver gilt, you know. It's like, but it was absolutely amazing. So the judges go around and they judge all the stands, and they're looking for how engaged our exhibitors are with the public and the visitor experience. And we came second for the education, but from the whole site. And so I'm absolutely over the moon.
Oh, Sam, I'm so pleased for you because of all the hard work and effort that you do, that you put in, Simon puts in, all the team at the Youth STEM Award, and what you do all this on top of it. It's great. It's been a fantastic, and thank you so much for inviting me along and be a part of it. And I'm just always astounded by the kind of work that you do, and how much you've contributed. Well, I honestly believe that this whole entire, Norwich, Norfolk, but even because the STEM Award goes nationwide.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for you, I don't think we'd have as many people entering STEM or have been inspired by it as I think we had. I think you're really making a big impact. Thank you so much, Sam.
Trying, and thanks to all the exhibitors, the STEM Village put on by the Royal Norfolk Agricultural Association and the Food and Farming Discovery Trust. Everyone's come together, thanks to all our sponsors and every exhibitor that's taken part. It's just great. So let's hope to see you again next year.
Let's hope. Thank you so much, Sam.
Thank you.
Another feature of the Royal Norfolk Show are events. So, of course, there'd be events such as sheep shearing or displaying the latest agricultural technology and vehicles. But also there are corporate events and events that are run by the sponsors here. And one of those sponsors is RWE, so an energy company who deals with renewable energy. And one of the events that they are running at the Royal Norfolk Show is a Mini-COP. And right behind here, turning up now for the Mini-COP, we have over 20 schools from across Norfolk who have been invited to take part in a mini conference of parties. And it's going to be a fantastic event. We're going to find out what schools are doing in terms of climate action, and we'll talk to some of the schools.
Every single one of you is important because real change happens when people, communities, businesses and science all work together. And thanks to the experts supporting from the Tyndall Centre for the Climate Change and Research that are here today from the UEA. This is not a one-off, this is the start of a real journey that will continue well into the future when you are no longer children and you have children of your own. And this is only the beginning of our ambition, which is to grow the programme year after year so that every school in Norfolk and beyond across the country can join us in this mission. You might not feel like it now, but today you are not just pupils, you are climate ambassadors. Your ideas, your energy, your pledges can inspire not only your classmates sat next to you, or your teachers or your families, but companies like RWE and hopefully even politicians to imply them to do more. All around the world, young people are already driving change. You are creative, you are passionate, you are unafraid to ask the hard questions, you are unforgiving, and these are exactly the qualities we need to build a greener, cleaner world.
I have the wonderful Drake Primary from Thetford here, one of our superstar schools. How are you doing? So how are you doing, Kai? You having a great day?
Yeah.
So what are you here to do today?
We're here for the Mini-COP.
The Mini-COP, the mini conference of parties. And what are we going to be talking about today?
We're going to be talking about nature.
Nature, absolutely. So Paige Rianne, what are you looking forward to mostly today?
Food.
Food, that's a good answer. Food is always good. Do you know what? Food brings people together. So have you been involved in all the wonderful things that Drake have been doing with being environmentally friendly and sustainable? What's your favourite thing at the school so far? Thinking is good.
Sophia's garden.
Sophia's garden, yeah. So Miss Parish showed me that yesterday. That was not yesterday, day before yesterday. It was beautiful. And this is Miss Parish. This is Sara. You're one of the co-leads.
Hi.
Of co-sustainability leads at Drake Primary, and we've been singing your praises. And just tell us a little bit about what you've been up to at Drake Primary with your climate action plans and getting the kids involved.
We've been doing a lot of work on the climate action plan. We've been working on the Green Schools project, so we've been running our programmes with the Eco Council to learn about climate change and taking action, haven't we? We've been taking action. And at the moment, we're planning to promote recycling during our school summer fair as well.
That's amazing. And we want to give a shout out to your partner in crime.
Yeah.
Daniel Herb.
Yes.
Yeah. And on Tuesday, we had a whole staff CPD, didn't we? Between the whole school and Wicklewood, your park school as well. Just summarise how you've been feeling this academic year, because you've really thrown yourself in.
It's been a lot of hard work. We've put a lot of effort into it. However, we're seeing the differences and we're seeing the changes happening. So we're really proud of the work that we've done so far.
And we're not kidding anybody. We know it's not easy, and you've had challenges.
We've had challenges. It's been really hard, and getting staff on board and support is also quite difficult as well.
So if you were to, so any schools, teachers, people supporting schools listening, if you could give them one piece of advice at the start of their journey, what would you give them?
I would say tackle one thing at a time. Don't try and do it all at once.
Thanks, Sara.
You're welcome.
It's such a pleasure to be working with you. It really is. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Padrian. And thank you, Kai.
No further ado, introduce Asher Mims.
This is how climate scientists dress all the time. That's okay. The big year there had 70,000 people go to the COP. But all those COPs together have only mentioned 9 children 91 times. So I think one of the things we can be doing here, and as COP goes on, is get genuinely children's voice into all these, older folks discussing what to do about the future of the planet, but they're not really talking about children. And I think that's kind of pretty unacceptable, really. I just had to look at the data. And they've only mentioned youth 112 times. So that's really not very many times in all these meetings, and all these have loads and loads and loads of documents. So this is something, as well as the climate action plans in your school and climate action in your schools, clearly the young people's voice is needed about what happens to the future of the planet. It can't be left up to all these old folks that maybe aren't making so much progress. Now, next slide, please.
So I'm with Roydon Primary School, just outside of this. Miss Willer is the school's sustainability lead, and we have Theo, who you may recognise, and off camera we have Caleb and TJ, and they're all members of the Green Crusaders. So tell us about what the activity that you're doing at the moment there, Theo.
Well, so we're supposed to order, so we've got different stuff.
Yep.
And we're supposed to order them from most important 5 to least important 1. And we put most important is saving water, because we don't actually have anything to do with that at our school. Then we put empowering schools, so that why did we?
We were thinking of the new build, wasn't we? And hoping we think about the new build that we're now having done, and making that as green as we can, weren't we?
Okay.
And then we did 3 for cycling and walking the school ball. So that
We do have a problem with the school run, don't we?
We do.
Yeah.
Problem with the school run,
do.
don't we?
So we're recycling is just second to last priority.
Yeah, because we already do that a lot.
So we need to tighten up on it, don't we?
Yep.
And then Eco Garden 1, because we've already got an Eco Garden.
Good, excellent. So, and I know that the Green Crusaders have been helping Miss Miller with the school's climate action plan, and and you've been part of that journey. So, thank you very much to Theo and the other Green Crusaders for supporting you with that. And from a staff point of view, Tracey, how do you feel things have been going?
It's been going really, really well. The Green Crusaders have been fantastic and have really engaged and really got on board with the sustainability and the climate action plan. Have been really, really helpful. Schools now getting on board with it as well. And yeah, we're getting there. It's been a really good journey. We've got a way to go, but we're definitely going in the right direction.
And for having to be teaching both my children, as the child of an ex-geography teacher, obviously, I'd have been on your back quite a bit.
Oh, yes.
But I'm glad that I've been able to support the school and the climate ambassadors in general have been able to support the school. So
it's been fantastic.
Thank you for all your efforts and the efforts of, the governors that have been helping out, Dana and all those
Dana's
people.
Been fantastic.
So thank you so much. And Theo, keep up the great work.
Thank you.
We have eco-warriors in each classroom. They are responsible for turning off the lights and looking after resources.
Futures. Transfer classes to look after different areas of school. Extra generate our own electricity.
Events like this, exhibits like this, shows like this, provide an opportunity people come here, organizations come here with targets, an agenda, to promote themselves, to spread the word about a cause, whatever it may be. But fundamentally, there's always some link that brings a group together. So here, Royal Norfolk Show, the big link is, of course, agriculture. But as I hope this episode has kind of proved, the big overwhelming causes like climate change and climate action, there is something that everybody can do and contribute to and link into, that there's always going to be a common thread which may not seem so obvious. There are different approaches, different levels of expertise, different viewpoints, different stakes involved. And what we hope is that at least our presence here at the Royal Norfolk Show in the STEM Village has shown how things can be weaved together and how you can have some kind of skill set, passion or expertise or something like that could be nurtured, that can be inspired, and it can still work towards big issues and action such as climate change. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Coffee and Geography podcast. It was quite a difficult one to make. It's a huge event. So many people I could speak to that I quite simply didn't have the time. I would strongly recommend that if you are able to make to any show, royal show, whether it's a different part of the United Kingdom or maybe it's some other place where you are in the world, like the United States have state fairs and things like that, is to go along to them. And go along to them with an open mind and discover the kind of things that you're interested in, or try something new. That's what I would recommend. So thank you for listening or watching if you are watching as well. And we'll see you next week with another episode of the podcast.